Okay. Okay, let's wait for the others to get in. Just a moment. Okay, let me see. Let's wait for the others very quick. Okay, I don't know why we're missing two more, but I don't know why they're not connecting. Let's see. Okay, here they are. Okay, everybody's here. Perfect. Well, let's wait for. Okay. Now let's then listen to this very quick. Remember, Andrea, Catalina, Maricel, and Susana, that we are allowed to listen twice to this, right? So every listening part is always twice, right, in Cambridge. So if you miss some information, don't worry, you have a second chance, right? And in a moment, we're going to check all the answers to see if you got it, hopefully all of them, right? So let's listen to this part. In some of them that they talk pretty fast, but let's see how we're doing with this speaking part. Okay, so let's start right now. Oh, let me see if I think I did, but let me see if yes, we have sound. Okay, let's start right now.
Track 15, Unit 9, Listening, Exercise 2. Speaker 1.
I'm originally from Sri Lanka, but I've been living in Dubai for almost, 3 years. I'm working for a British company here. I come from a small town in Sri Lanka called Negombo. It's near the capital. So living in Dubai is a rather different experience for me, but it still feels pretty comfortable here. There are lots of other Sri Lankan families here, although I don't often mix with them. Most of my colleagues are from the UK. What's interesting is that my kids, who are still quite young, they are growing up speaking English, because that's what they hear around them all the time. I think it's the same for a lot of the other expat families living here. So this will create a new generation of English-speaking foreign workers living here, I suppose. Dubai, I have to say, has a very good infrastructure. The airport is very easy to get to, and it connects with many other cities. There are taxis everywhere, and of course the shopping is first class. It's actually not as bustling as Colombo, the Sri Lankan capital, but it does have a similar energy. So, I do like living here, yes.
Speaker 2.
I've been in Kuala Lumpur for about 10 years now. It's incredible how much the city has changed. There are many parts of the city that have been completely developed or modernised. It's all been given a makeover. There are new skyscrapers, shopping malls, transportation systems, everything. And this has solved a lot of problems, actually. It's much easier to get around, and the air does feel cleaner. I would say, however, that I do miss some of the old Kuala Lumpur, the city I knew when I first came here. When you could have a snack on the street in a little market, or see a real old Chinese bakery with old gentlemen chatting inside. Those places still exist, although they are sometimes hard to find.
Speaker 3.
I was born in New York, but I've spent a lot of time here in Delhi. I think it's been about 15 years since I first arrived. My wife and kids live here too, and I have seen a lot of development here. Many things have improved, but there's also a lot of congestion. Luckily, we live in one of the greener parts of the city, but when I have to get around, it can be slow and difficult. But I love it here. We adore the food. We can't get enough of it. The variety is incredible. That's always been the case, though. The best thing, I think, is the people here. It's a big, crowded city, but it's also very human, and it's great to belong to a city like that.
Speaker 4.
When did I first come to Bangkok? It must have been 10 years ago. I currently work in an English school here, but I also do a lot in my spare time. I'm still trying to learn Thai, but not with very much success. Things have changed a lot since I first came. There are more modern, air-conditioned buildings now, more hotels. Certainly there are more tourists, especially coming from China. I think that's possibly one reason why the prices have gone up. But another thing that's changed is that the city has got cleaner. There are still lots of cars everywhere, but you don't see as many tuk-tuks as you used to. The little three-wheeled vehicles people use as taxis. This means that there is far less pollution. And the older buildings and canals are really being cleaned up too. Most people are surprised that there are canals in Bangkok, but there are. And this means that a lot of the traditions have come back, like the floating markets, where people sell fruit, flowers and so on boats. It's amazing.
How was it? Did you get most of the information?
So.
So okay, don't worry. We have a second chance, remember, right? So let's listen one more time, very quick.
Track 15. Unit 9. Listening. Exercise 2. Speaker 1.
I'm originally from Sri Lanka, but I've been living in Dubai for almost, 3 years. I'm working for a British company here. I come from a small town in Sri Lanka called Negombo. It's near the capital. So living in Dubai is a rather different experience for me, but it still feels pretty comfortable here. There are lots of other Sri Lankan families here, although I don't often mix with them. Most of my colleagues are from the UK. What's interesting is that my kids, who are still quite young, they are growing up speaking English, because that's what they hear around them all the time. I think it's the same for a lot of the other expat families living here. So this will create a new generation of English-speaking foreign workers living here, I suppose. Dubai, I have to say, has a very good infrastructure. The airport is very easy to get to, and it connects with many other cities. There are taxis everywhere, and of course the shopping is first class. It's actually not as bustling as Colombo, the Sri Lankan capital, but it does have a similar energy. So, I do like living here, yes.
Speaker 2.
I've been in Kuala Lumpur for about 10 years now. It's incredible how much the city has changed. There are many parts of the city that have been completely developed or modernised. It's all been given a makeover. There are new skyscrapers, shopping malls, transportation systems, everything. And this has solved a lot of problems, actually. It's much easier to get around, and the air does feel cleaner. I would say, however, that I do miss some of the old Kuala Lumpur, the city I knew when I first came here. When you could have a snack on the street in a little market, or see a real old Chinese bakery with old gentlemen chatting inside. Those places still exist, although they are sometimes hard to find.
Speaker 3.
I was born in New York, but I've spent a lot of time here in Delhi. I think it's been about 15 years since I first arrived. My wife and kids live here too, and I have seen a lot of development here. Many things have improved, but there's also a lot of congestion. Luckily, we live in one of the greener parts of the city, but when I have to get around, it can be slow and difficult. But I love it here. We adore the food. We can't get enough of it. The variety is incredible. That's always been the case, though. The best thing, I think, is the people here. It's a big, crowded city, but it's also very human, and it's great to belong to a city like that.
Speaker 4.
When did I first come to Bangkok? It must have been 10 years ago. I currently work in an English school here, but I also do a lot in my spare time. I'm still trying to learn Thai, but not with very much success. Things have changed a lot since I first came. There are more modern, air-conditioned buildings now, more hotels. Certainly there are more tourists, especially coming from China. I think that's possibly one reason why the prices have gone up. But another thing that's changed is that the city has got cleaner. There are still lots of cars everywhere, but you don't see as many tuk-tuks as you used to. The little three-wheeled vehicles people use as taxis. This means that there is far less pollution. And the older buildings and canals are really being cleaned up too. Most people are surprised that there are canals in Bangkok, but there are. And this means that a lot of the traditions have come back, like the floating markets, where people sell fruit, flowers and so on boats. It's amazing.
Okay, let's check the answers and see how you guys did with this part. Let's see here very quick. Okay. Okay, please check your answers here and let me know how you did. You don't have to write like everything in a specific. If you at least wrote some information, we're doing okay.
I really missed the number 2 city.
Oh, really?
The name.
Kuala Lumpur. Okay. Okay.
Kuala Lumpur. I didn't know that city exists.
Yeah, they.
Infrastructure, shopping, airport. Yes, very good.
How many things or sentences have to write with that?
Like, for example, like how many? Well, at least if you wrote the most important information, right? You're okay. Like,
Yes,
or if it's similar, right? If it's similar to what it says.
First one, number 1, in favorite aspect of the city, I wrote good infrastructure. Taxis everywhere.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Well, you just missed like some very specific things, but in general, you wrote.
Okay.
What was it? Yeah, maybe the most important things.
Teacher, I have a question. So in the speaker number 2, in the favorite aspect, I wrote, I don't know if I hear bad, but the favorite aspect, he talked about Chinese bakery or not?
You talk about number 2, right?
Yes, speaker number 2.
Let's see, because let's see, because maybe we can read the maybe we can read the but let me see if I have it here. Let's see. Well, let me see. Just a moment. Let me look for the dialogue, because yeah, maybe you heard about what? I'm sorry, you heard
something about a coffee.
Chinese bakery, something like that.
Okay, let me check. Chinese bakery. Okay, let's see here. Speaker 2. So you see, this is what he said, right? I've been in Kuala Lumpur for about 10 years now. It's incredible how much the city has changed. There are many parts of the city that have been completely developed or modernized. It's all being given a makeover. There are new skyscrapers, shopping malls, transportation system, everything. And this has solved a lot of problems. Actually, it's much easier to get around, and the air does feel cleaner. I will say, however, that I do miss some of the Kuala Lumpur, the city I knew. And when I first came here, when you could have a snack on the street in the little market, or see a real old Chinese bakery with old gentlemen. Yeah. So yeah, this is like the information, right? That he mentioned. So
that there are no place to eat coffee
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Let's see.
places. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, in that, it might be like, but in general, maybe it's just like easier to get around, right? Or, but yeah. So this would be like the answer, right? It's much easier to get around, and the air does feel cleaner, right? But in for the test, we're definitely gonna have like exactly this part is just to practice for the last part of speaking, but in the real, sorry, the last part of listening, but in the real part, we are gonna show exactly the words, right? And we just need to match them to like the general question. But so there's at least an advantage for the test that we're definitely gonna have exactly the sentences, right? We don't need to write it down. This one actually is a little bit more difficult than the real part. Okay, but okay, now let's go very quick then to our speaking part, and let me explain to you how speaking for works. Speaking for works very similar to let's see, where is it? Very similar to part one. Remember in part one, they just ask you specific questions like yeah, what do you enjoy doing? Like very like personal questions. Part four is gonna be at least the topic is gonna be related to part three. Remember that in part three, you guys need to interact with one another. But part four is maybe is similar to the topic that you were talking before. But in this part, we need to be or pay attention to what our partner answers. For example, the first question is going to be for Andrea, right? So whatever Andrea answers, I'm going to ask Catalina. Catalina, do you agree? So if you need to talk about a little bit of yes, you say yes, I do, or no, I don't, depending on what Andrea said. So you definitely need to pay attention here on what Andrea said. They might ask you three questions. For example, when Andrea finishes talking, they might ask to Catalina, do you agree? Or how about you? Or what's the third one? Let me see. So do you agree? How about you? And forgot the third one. Can't believe it. Let's see if I have it here. Let's see, this is 18. Let me check it here very quick. Just to be sure. This is the real test. Actually, you have this file in the platform. You have the real test there with all the actually you have two parts for each, for two part ones, two part two, and so on. Even that you have the listening test, the speaking test, you have it all here. Okay, yes, I'm sorry. What do you think? Do you agree? And how about you? So they might ask you those three questions, okay? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to I'm going to ask this question to Andrea, and then Catalina is going to give some feedback. Then I'm going to ask Catalina, then Maricel gives feedback, Maricel, and then Andrea gives feedback from Maricel. So let's see how it works. In general, this is 4 minutes. Maybe we might take a little bit more here, but the real one is 4 minutes. Remember, it's in pairs, right? So, but here it's not like you have a specific minute to finish, right? If you talk a lot, maybe the person is gonna say, okay, thank you, right? So, but you can even stop whenever you want here. You don't have to just talk and talk and talk until they say thank you. No, here, you can just give a long answer, but not that long, right? So it's just mostly like conversation here also. And the person here in front of you in this part, he also might participate once in a while, right? So in this case, it will be both of you and the one that is checking or asking the questions. Again, he might be talking also a little bit, okay? So, but here is not like for example, like in part three, that you have 2 minutes, right? And when those 2 minutes are over, say thank you. No, here is just like more. Part four is a little bit more flexible than part three, okay? So let's start with Andrea then with the first one. Andrea, how important is it for people to have hopes and dreams?
Oh my God, teacher, I am very nervous.
Don't worry, don't worry. Go ahead.
So people need to have a lot of dreams. I don't know.
Yeah, how important is it for you, do you think?
Um,
How important is it for people to have hopes and dreams?
Oh my God. I'm so sorry, teacher, but I'm so nervous.
Don't
I
worry,
will
don't worry.
help you. I will help you, Andrea. Maybe
Okay.
we can mention that as humans, we always has to follow dreams, goals, and for that reason, we have to plan or prepare different ideas when we want to accomplish, for example, in personal life, in the job or in education, and through our hopes or dreams, also we build our day by day, and also we have to face different problems in order to get what we have or what we want to get in order to get or success in the field that you want to success. I will say that.
Okay. Do you agree, Andrea, with what Maricel said?
Yes, I agree with. She said.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God.
Why? Or
Okay, because the people need to have the an horizon. So
like a goal? You can say maybe like a
yeah,
goal
like I go.
uh-huh.
Yeah. I don't know, teacher. I am very lost.
Don't worry, don't worry. Try, Andrea. That's what we're here, right? That's just to practice. So don't worry. Go try. At least try, and then if you want, we can help you. But remember, that's what we are here for, right? To practice.
Yeah, but I don't know, teacher.
I will say an example, Andre. For example, if you want to travel and you want to go to another country, so it's a dream or it's a hope that you are going to establish in a period of time. Maybe you will say, for my next vacations, I will be in Africa because it's a really nice place and I want to know the culture and different animals there. So for that reason, because I need to get a lot of money to go to Africa, I'm going to start working and I'm going to sell bread and shoes and more, all the things that I can sell in order to have the money to get my dream to go to know Africa. It's an example.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I catch the idea, but I don't know.
Well, Andrea, what hopes for the future of the world would you like to see become reality?
Oh, okay. My goals.
In this case, we're talking about the world now. Like for the world, what would you like to see become a reality for the world?
Words. I don't know, teacher.
In general, right? Like what things that you maybe would like for the world to change? Just like in general.
Maybe if we talk about our real contents, that is the education, maybe we can say that I would like to have a different idea of education right now because it's kind of difficult to work in the high schools or schools. Many things has been changing with the pass of the years. Maybe we have to recover the respect of the students. Maybe we need to stop illnesses like the depression and anxiety that is killing our teenagers and also is killing teachers too. I don't know if you heard new today, they were a girl, she was really young and she decided to finish with her life. So there are many, I would say, extra factors that has been affecting us as a human. And I know this is around the world because I was talking today with some friends that I have in Wisconsin, and saying the same. They said, we are afraid if we are in a mall, or we are afraid if we are in the school, because we don't know in what moment or situation someone is going to come and they are going to start making a situation of aggression, or just they are blocked and they decide to start killing people or shots in their institutions. And this is something that we are facing here in Costa Rica. So pay attention to Limon, pay attention to San Jose, for example. And if you start making questions to other institutions, I'm sure they are going to be agree with me. Education has changed a lot, but talking about hopes and dreams, yes, we want to recover maybe the education that we had before the pandemic. We want to get people success, people with a lot of effort, and they have to continue giving their best. As a teacher, we have to do it too, but I know it's kind of hard.
You're right, Maricel. Catalina, do you agree with Maricel? Catalina? Are you there, Catalina?
Sorry, I was talking with me only.
Okay, do you agree with Maricel?
Yes, I do, because I know, or I feel that right now people feel uncomfortable with walking out the city or around the city, because they don't feel great, because they are nervous of what are going to happen in a little moment. But I think that people also has hopes and dreams. We always have something to think about and to afford, or to I don't know how to say, to think or plan to do something that you are gonna feel better, or you are gonna feel happy uh, thinking about this. So there are a lot of problems around the city, but we can feel good if you have plans for the future that you can afford to do it.
Okay, and Catalina, what aspects of life today would have seemed impossible to people in the past? For example, what things maybe in the past would be impossible that people, for me, in nowadays is something normal, but for example, in the past was like impossible. What, can you give some examples about that?
Okay, of course, the technology, something that have seemed possible for them to talk with another people in a easy way, for example, by phone or by a cell phone, or talking with another people in another country by internet, like us, using Zoom,
Exactly.
looking at the face of the other people in another place. It's something that maybe people in the past didn't could understand.
Yeah, very, very good, Catalina. Do you agree, Susana, with Catalina?
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention, but I was listening to Maricel and all the problems that we're facing here in, well, not only in Costa Rica,
Yeah,
but
but I'm
around the
sorry,
world.
Susana, I'm sorry to interrupt
Yes.
you, but the question is another question now.
No,
What
no.
aspects of life, what aspects
Okay.
of life today would have seemed impossible to people in the past?
Okay. Okay. Well, aspects of life. I think that everything related with virtuality, I think it's like a dream for us. Well, is I think that people in the past would have seen that like a dream, because it's like very futuristic and different from what they had. Even for me, when I was a teenager, I didn't have a cell phone or computer or internet, but now I have a lot of nice opportunities to connect with people around the world. And even teenagers, they have a lot of resources that we didn't have
Right.
when we were younger, right?
Mhm.
So I think that in that sense, virtuality it's really different from the past.
Correct. And Susanna, our hopes and dreams change as we get older. What differences are there between children's and adults' dreams?
Well, this question is really profound because when you're a children, you only think about what makes you happy, and you don't take into account the different aspects that are related to your dreams and I don't know, and expectations of the future, because you don't know like the real possibilities you have or the resources you have. But when you're an adult, your dreams are different because you are aware of what possibilities you have and the resources and the money. And I don't know if you have the, I don't want to say this, but if you're intelligent enough for to do this or that. I say this because, for example, I think that we'll have different types of intelligence, and maybe I'm not good with numbers, but I'm really good with words. So maybe when I was a little child, maybe I wanted to be like an, I don't know, like a engineer or something like that. But when I grew older, I I realized that maybe I'm not good enough with
Maybe,
numbers,
yeah.
right? And
Yes.
maybe when you're a child, your dreams are like superficial, but when you're an adult, you just want to be happy and live with peace and enjoy everything.
Very good, Susana. Andrea, how about you? Are you there, Andrea? Andrea, you have the microphone in mute. Well, I don't know if Andrea is there. Okay, who would like to answer or to give some feedback to Susana regarding this part?
Following the line that Susana was mentioning about technology, also, if we talk about medicine, for example, so it's amazing to pay attention how doctors, they now, they can make surgeries from one country to another, or
Oh,
they,
but I'm sorry for interrupting you. When I said that we're talking about our hopes and dreams change as we get older. What differences are
okay.
there between children's and adults' dreams?
Oh, sorry. I was in technology too.
Yeah, remember this part, that's why this part is very important for us to practice it, because I know it's difficult sometimes to pay attention to what the person is saying, right? And in this part 4, if they ask you that and then you answer something else, they're going to lower a lot of points for that.
Well,
Okay,
she was mentioned something about she wanted to be engineer, but now she decided or she realized she has to move to another topic because she was not good in numbers, is what she said, I
yeah,
think.
that's what she said.
Yes, well, as you were mentioned, children, they have a lot of fantasies. Maybe sometimes they wanted to have like the superheroes, or they wanted to imitate people. For that reason, they want to like my father's job or my mother's job or their brothers or sisters. But when you get older, so you have to pay attention what is your reality. See what are in your possibilities, because for example, I wanted to be doctor and I couldn't get it because in my family we were so poor and we couldn't afford it. Now I will say I would like to study medicine, but I know if I want to go to the UCMed, I have to have in my bank account around 50 or 60 millions of colons, so I can't do it. So
Right.
reality, what my partner was mentioned, so is the reality, because our mind changed when we are younger, we didn't realize how difficult the world is outside. And you have to know that there are many situations that are out of your control, and you have to take what you can manage. Yeah.
Very good, very good. No, excellent, excellent what he said. Well, that is part 4. That's the last part of the speaking test. Okay, so it's something like what we did. We asked a question, and remember, most of the time it's just you guys, it's in pairs, right? So you just need to really pay attention on what your partner says, because they're gonna ask you, do you agree, or how about you, or I keep forgetting the third question. It was, how about you? Do you agree? And I don't know why I keep forgetting that. And what do you think? Yeah, thank you. What do you think? Yes. So perfect, perfect. So be careful with part number 4.
Sorry.
Yes?
How about you? What do you think?
Yeah, wait. How about you? What do you think? Or do you agree?
Do you agree?
So we need to
in this
be
part, we need to pay attention.
exactly. That's what they're gonna be checking actually, for you to see if you can really pay attention to what the person says. Okay. So perfect, perfect. So well, we can finish here. Thank you, Andrea, Maricel, Susana, Catalina. We will see you next week. And well, we didn't have time to see part 7, right, of the test, but we will next class. But I think that it was very productive. We listened, we practiced listening, we practiced speaking, and we practiced
Grammar.
that grammar part that is sometimes, and collocations, which is very important, right? So perfect. So see you guys next.
Thank you, teacher.
Next. You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Have a nice weekend. Bye.
You too. You too. Bye bye.